On today's episode, we'll mess around with metal minutiae, paint really fast, save $50 on a light fitting, such a tight ass, get the wrong paint all over my pudding stirrer, hunt for rust, add some more metal scraps to my bin, pimp my son's RC car, and cook fish at the same time as meat on the barbecue. If none of that makes sense, you've come to the right place. Grab a beer.
Rockets are falling through the holes in the bottom of my pockets. So when it comes to practice, my clothes are just untied. That is never factored in what would make a typical day. A typical day.
Big jobs, small jobs, lots of jobs to do. Here's another one. This is the fuel filler section at the back. It's always had this dent in there that's driven me nuts for years, which is just here. And now that I've got it out, it's a good time to actually fix it. I've got a couple of different dollies here, and this one I can put inside here. I'm trying to find one that's the right sort of contour for the inside. I think that might be it. We can just lay that in and give it a try, like this. And I'm absolute amateur at panel beating, but I've been told to, after watching a video actually from Restalab, which is really great, he talks about tapping down the high spots, so that's what I'm going to do. Getting better all the time. Getting there. I'm just going to get my file. I think that is pretty good.
Thought about the worst that you could feel. Just stick around and see just how bad things can be.
Gear stick time. I'm going to coat it in this epoxy polyurethane wheel paint, which is chip resistant, hopefully. So I've primed it, rubbed it back, and here we go. So before I cut out this inner A panel, I've actually marked on here where the holes line up, and the same down the bottom, just so I can try to get them to line up again. And what I'm also going to do is just measure from the start of this hole to the edge there, and write the number on the side of the panel, so that I can try to get the new heritage A panel, inner A panel that I put on there, to go back in exactly the same spot. And also another little note I've taken is that underneath here, actually here, underneath this lip where it joins the fender, there's actually a bent over piece of metal that's brazed between the two to add stiffness. So I'll do the same thing when I put it back on again. I'll braze a piece of metal that folds underneath to protect it. So it seemed to work really well, because this is the hardest part to get off. Same as down the bottom, you see there's a little brazed spot right there as well, which was really tough bit of metal, so obviously adds some strength to the panel. You can see our rust here pretty bad, and also on the wing as well. So I'm going to mark that and cut it off. Excuse the rain outside, rarely happens in Australia, but it's absolutely pouring at the moment. Inner A panel left hand side, just absolutely knackered. So this is my son's little car. It started off as a low-C Mini T, which was pretty good, but it ran on nickel metal hydride batteries. I think it was about 4.5 volts. And yeah, plastic, and so it only lasted a couple of weeks before the chassis broke. So I got a piece of carbon fibre sheet and made a new chassis for it, slightly longer wheelbase. Got a limited slip differential in it. It's got ball bearings all the way around. It's got some hardened alloy parts. It's got oil-filled, independent suspension. It's got a brushless motor that can do about 60,000 revs, connected to a speed controller that can handle up to 6 cell lipos, and which is, 18 to 24 volts or something. And I'm running it on 3 cells, so 11 volts, and it absolutely goes like a rocket. It'll do about 100 kilometers an hour, which I've tested by putting my phone on it with a GPS speed tracker. The problem is it just gets air and just flips over, so you need a scoop on the front and a way of keeping the thing attached to the ground, because it just flips over. But yeah, it's an absolute little rocket, and he loves it. Drives almost every day.